think one of my favorite things in the video game industry is sequels. They take the previous game, update the interface, controls, mechanics, and some other stuff that may or may not matter, and kaboom! New game. They do best for building upon the game from before to make it better, and they throw away the crap. But bad sequels are for another time, because usually sequels become more beloved than the first game. For this list I have to play both the first and second games, and the sequel has to be at least as good or better than the first. That's about it. Let's get started. I was originally going to put Mother 3 on here, but here's the thing. I think Mother 3 is better than Earthbound, but I also think that Earthbound is miles better than Earthbound Beginnings. In the throwing away crap rule, that's what Earthbound did. First, they introduced the spinning mechanic here, which makes your HP scroll down instead of immediately drop. This can help you save a party member who's about to die, and is really helpful later into the game, not so much earlier in the game. Also, instead of random encounters, there are overworld enemies, and if they touch you, then you go into battle. This helps a lot because of the abysmal encounter rate in the beginnings. Let's not forget that they expanded the inventory, however key items and regular items are still not separated. That wasn't fixed until Mother 3. So you might be wondering why I'm just mentioning the stuff that was added and fixed here. Well, that's because the core gameplay is still the same, just less unforgiving, and the spinning HP mechanic is still there. Also, the dungeons are better here. In Beginnings, you just randomly run around in a dungeon. On this game, dungeons are a bit more fleshed out, and at least you know where you're going in these dungeons. But the number one thing that makes this game better than Beginnings is the difficulty. Sometimes I wonder if they even tested Beginnings because the enemies are way too tough. And this is from an RPG where level 25 is a high level. There's so many things that I should probably save for the review. You're safe for now, Malatory. For now. I never felt like there were too many moments where I had to grind in Earthbound. The dungeons were simple enough to get through, and each boss has something you can do to make it easier. Earthbound is a great sequel to Earthbound Beginnings, and a good example of what sequels should be. I'm going to tell you now, I'm not a Legend of Zelda fan. But this game is freaking awesome. And you know why I love this game more than Ocarina of Time? Because I like how the game's focus is on side quests instead of the main game. Nearly, this game is at least 60% side quests, and I love that. But enough gushing, what makes this game and its side quests better than Ocarina of Time? Well, first off, the side quests I think of when I think of Ocarina of Time are Big Goron Sword and Ice Hero quests. But I don't like either of those ones because the Big Goron Sword quest has a strict time limit, and don't get me started on the Ice Hero side quest. It's long and not worth the trouble. Well, Majora's Mask's gameplay is revolved around side quests. They get you heart pieces and masks and other neat stuff. I don't think this is the best way I can describe Majora's Mask. I'm trying my best, but if you like optional quests, then this game has a plethora of them, adventure included. I really think that the only thing that Ocarina of Time beats this game in is the dungeons. The dungeons in Majora's Masks are a bit forgettable. But hey, this game has a Stone Tower Temple. Enough said. Am I the only one here who doesn't like Donkey Kong Country Returns? It's too hard to the point that it's cheap. Some platforms are impossible to reach without Diddy Kong, and it isn't as fun. So I think that this game isn't nearly as good as Tropical Freeze. You know, I didn't plan on getting this game, but after seeing several positive reviews, I decided to get it over Kirby Triple Deluxe. Now, I thought this was a big risk, but man, this risk paid off. Even though I still die a lot, I think the difficulty has been fixed. It's not nearly as cheap. The last few levels in the returns were way too hard. I had to actually skip one of them. While still hard, the difficulty actually makes some of the levels more fun. So yeah, the difficulty actually makes the game a lot more fun. Also, instead of just Diddy Kong this time, there's also Dixie Kong who can help you fly in the air for a short amount of time, which is almost necessary. And Cranky Kong who's... who am I kidding? This joke's been used several times. Scrooge McFreaking Duck. And the levels are at their best in this game. Once again, they give off a challenge without being too cheap. Some of my favorites are from Mortal 5. And the last few levels are just amazing, no matter how hard they get. And to complement good level design is good music. It always fits the mood. It's amazing. Like, just listen to this. That's what makes this one of my favorite games on the Wii U. I highly recommend it to those who want a unique experience on the system. If there's one series of games that always cheers me up and brings me absolute joy, then that would have to be Kirby! Just to recommend a few: Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Kirby Triple Deluxe, and probably my personal favorite, the sequel to Triple Deluxe, Kirby Planet Robobot. Each Kirby game has a gimmick, and this one's is pretty cool. It's the Robobot armor. It's mostly used to solve puzzles, but whenever you get a hold of the power, let's just say you're gonna wreck everything. Every Kirby game has a charming soundtrack, and this one's no different. Also, the post-game has a lot to offer as well. Better Nightmare Returns, and it's pretty cool with all the powers you can use. Also, the arena is still here, but I feel like it's much easier than it was before. But nonetheless, it's fun. A bit disappointed with the secret boss though. Also, Team Kirby Clash had a lot of potential. It was too short though. Nonetheless, I had fun playing this with some people. It modifies most of the powers, and it makes them really cool and fun to use. And while only having 3 new powers, it's still pretty cool. ESP makes you a sitting duck, but hey, you have a giant ball to control. Plus, I'm an Earthbound fan. Doctor's really neat as well, with potions that you can charge up. And Poison, dare I say, is one of the best powers in the series. I think the soundtrack's really good. Heck, the final boss theme is my intro theme, so take from what you will. And besides, it's really memorable as well. This game is an amazing sequel, and it feels like the Kirby series just gets progressively better with each game, and it only gets me hyped for each new installment. Let's face it, the Mario and Luigi series is really freaking good. They're usually considered the best Mario RPGs ever, along with Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, and the first one I played is often considered the best. That's right, Bowser's Inside Story is my favorite, like most of the universe things. And you know what? I have a freaking good reason. In fact, a ton of good reasons. First off, playing as Bowser is pretty cool. I'm a bit ashamed that he can't jump, but he's always a really cool powerhouse. And while I will admit that some of his special attacks are a bit annoying since they use the DS's touchscreen and stuff, they didn't get in my way most of the time. But along with that, I don't have much more to say. Like, you go around in Bowser's body and there's some pretty cool stuff to do. The dungeons are pretty forgettable though, but the airway is pretty cool. So yeah, you might be wondering, hey, you don't have enough reasons to put this at number 2. Truth is, I am doing unscripted talk here, but I think it's one of the best sequels because it tops all the other games. Superstar Saga's alright. I actually kinda like Partners in Time. Dream Team is okay, although I really don't like Paper Jam. But Bowser's Inside Story is just amazing. Also, it was one of the first RPGs I ever played. And really, that's the most justice I could give this game. It's a masterpiece and one of the best one of the best Nintendo games ever. It was the first Mario and Luigi game I've played, and no other game in the series has topped it. Not Superstar Saga, not Dream Team, nothing. But even after all of the praise I've given this game, how does it not get the number 1 spot? Well, the next entry may be a bit confusing, but just sit there and I'll explain. I hear this game in particular get a bit of mixed reception. I know people who love it, and people who think it's too similar. And yes, Gen 5 Pokemon is probably my favorite, with Black and White alone being great. And while I wasn't nearly as hyped when Black and White 2 were announced, I was still waiting it, and it didn't disappoint me. Yes, I know that the game uses a ton of towns and cities from the first game, and that is really similar to Black and White, but all the new things out here are great. Pokestoy Studios had some interesting stories to tell, the Impassion was more threatening than ever, and do not forget the PWT. And it's a real shame that none of these new things have reappeared since. And something really awesome is that Unova isn't home to just Gen 5 Pokemon anymore. In fact, it has a ton. You know that when you can find a wild Riolu and Mareep before the first gym battle, that the developers were really thinking. And there is so much to do in the post-game. The Black City and White Forest have a ton to do with them. You can find several legendaries, and so much more. Probably the most content I've ever seen in a Pokemon game, besides Conquest. But something really confuses me here. You see, I actually think that the first games are slightly better. And that wasn't the case for all the other games on this list, because I like those other games more than the prequels. But then I realized that a good sequel isn't necessarily better. So why do I think that this is the best sequel? Because it recreates Black and White. It's similar, but it has enough new stuff to be a new game, And the stuff that is similar is fixed and better and has enough parts refreshed that feels upgraded. When I hear sequel, I expect an upgrade of the original, and that's what this game is, an upgrade. Also, it's a really solid Pokemon game if I haven't made that clear yet. Rather than new games, I sometimes do prefer sequels because it's a chance to revitalize a game and make the original product better. And that's exactly what all these games accomplish. I'm MarioLuigi3ds, and let's hope that the upcoming sequels to games turn out better than the original product.